Bang. Welcome back to another edition of the Daily Crypto Byte. No Dr. Doge today. He's traveling, but he'll be back on Monday. He did give us some stuff to talk about today, so we got plenty to talk about. CJ is going to break down some Bitcoin TA for you guys going into the weekend because there's some exciting stuff to talk about. So without further ado, you want to hop right into things, CJ?
Absolutely. I will screen share and we will go in a little bit more in depth on the charts today.
Cool.
So what I was talking about yesterday essentially was how we got this TD sequential 9. It would have been a 9, right? We went all the way up, reached the 8, and then we actually got the correction on the 9 candle, ended it with a bearish engulfing candle, but then buyers were able to step back in with a bullish engulfing candle to keep that trend alive. Now, typically what we will see in candlestick theory and in sequential theory, after reaching a 9, we will typically see like a 1 to 3 or 4 candle correction of the opposing color. So as you can see now, we've made a red 1, 2, 3, and 4. We are in a bullish to neutral consolidation off of support at 55K. If we can hold that, I think that level is looking good and poised to continue this bullish trend after going through that 1 to 4 candle correction. That's just kind of a principle of the sequential indicator that I wanted to make you guys aware of. Oscillators trending below are still very strong. And if we go over to Trade the Chain dashboard, I do believe that we're seeing a very nice increase when it comes to the amount of actual volume that we're seeing. So yeah, we're seeing a increase in relative trading volume of over 20% for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. When we have buyers stepping in with that high volume, that's always a good thing that we're looking for in continuation. And it has a lot to do with the assets that we select in our trades. Overall, I think it's still looking very bullish to neutral for Bitcoin. I'm excited to see how price action goes throughout the rest of this weekend. Anything you'd like to add to that as well, Monty?
Yeah, CJ, I was actually just about to ask you, it's Friday, we're headed into the weekend, and we tend to see some pretty exciting stuff on the weekends. Based on this chart, do you have any inclination as to where we might head into the weekend?
As long as we stay above that critical level at around 55 to 56K, I have to remain bullish due to the fact that that is just the existing trend, and I will be on the side of the trend until it breaks below critical levels. And for me, that critical level would be this SMA at roughly 54K. I think if we break below that, there's higher likelihood that we likely go down to, say, 52 or 51. So it's between 54 and kind of 57. Those levels the range is just getting tighter and tighter, and it's building momentum in anticipation of a big move, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed, CJ. That's what we tend to see when the price action kind of coils together. You can tell it's getting ready to launch. Could you pull up the 4-hour chart for us real quick? I saw something kind of interesting on there this morning that I wanted to reference. And that was, what we saw in the last 8 hours. And that is a cross above that simple moving average and somewhat of a bullish engulfing candle right there. So, when I have a little bit of uncertainty around the daily chart and where price might go, I like to look to the 4-hour chart. We have pretty solid momentum in terms of volume, in terms of those stochastics that CJ is pointing out as well. But I think the 4-hour chart is actually looking pretty bullish to shape up and maybe retest 60K this weekend. So another thing I like about the 4-hour chart is the immediate downside support at 52K. It's a bit tighter than what we're seeing on the daily chart of 47K. So yeah, I agree with CJ. I think that, contingent on what we see in the daily chart, and if we do get enough volume, I think we're well poised to actually have a pretty bullish weekend for Bitcoin.
Cool stuff. I will stop the share now.
Okay.
And we also have some other data.
Yeah, CJ, you shared with me some really interesting metrics. Was that from the block?
Yes, I really like the block. I think they do good work when it comes to their research. especially some data that you can get over there. But the
Yeah.
retail indicators are rising. Cryptocurrency exchange web traffic has hit a 3-year high with 531.1 million visits in April, only slightly below the January 2018 all-time high of 531 million. And what's notable is the growth of Asian exchanges. Upbit and Indodax even surpassed Kraken in monthly visitors. So, some may say that this is, the beginning of media attention. The market is getting kind of frothy. I hate that word, but it's
It's a
overused
gross
very
word. It's a
much.
gross word.
But is this what mass adoption is supposed to look like, or are we getting too overheated? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, CJ, the way I see it is like, we talk a lot about metrics that are indicative of us entering into altcoin season. And I think this is one of them. It's always hard to gauge retail interest directly into crypto. We have some real big players that are driving price. But when you see these metrics like shares of web exchange traffic, and you just see this uptick in these cryptocurrency exchange traffic volume, I mean, those to me are indications that we are entering into altcoin season. When Bitcoin goes up, it doesn't necessarily need a lot of buyers. It just needs a few buyers with a lot of conviction. What I've seen is in altcoin season, it takes a lot of buyers with a little conviction, and that can go a long way for a lot of these altcoins. So you have metrics like this, cryptocurrency exchange volume traffic spiking. We've talked a lot about Bitcoin dominance slipping. And with the spike we've seen in ETH, I think there's a lot of little hints that we're seeing that we may be entering into altcoin season, which is very good news for any of you that have been trading our doges of the day, because a lot of those ignition assets are going to be the ones that see the most price action in a altcoin season. So for me, these metrics are just kind of reaffirming that we're on the brink of that altcoin explosion, CJ.
And you see it, right? You see it in those unusual 2017, 2018 assets like Ethereum Classic,
Yeah.
TRON, Verge. A lot of those are really seeing price action that I don't know what to make of it. The only explanation I have is that, individuals who haven't speculated since those days in 2017 and 2018 are jumping back into the market and are buying what used to look familiar to them, or what does look familiar to them. But with that being said, do you want to do some TA on Ethereum as well before we jump into the doges of the day? I can go
Yes.
ahead and share my screen and we can discuss.
Hope I lost my picture. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead. You're good.
All right, Ethereum on the 1 day. So something to always pay attention to after we reach these nines is the TD setup support or resistance level. In this case, this green dotted line that is a little faint. It's hard to see, so I'll highlight it here. But that line right there, since price is below it, we consider this resistance for the time being. But ultimately, if we can somehow consolidate above this level and break higher, then it bodes very well for Ethereum going into a test of potentially 4,000 or back up to the highs of recently 3,600. However, we're starting to see a little bit of weakness, and we're going to have to see whether or not price can be strong enough to truly break above this level during the weekend. I think that when we look to the 4-hour chart again, like you pointed out with Bitcoin, Monty, we are above that 20 SMA. Things are looking much more bullish as we continue this uptrend. It's just this critical level here at about 3,540. I would like to see a very strong close above that level for a potential re-entry and push up to say 37 or 3,800 over the course of Saturday and potentially Sunday. So what do you think of Ethereum at these levels?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, what a run it's been on. If you could just pull up the daily chart for us real quick, I think that is looking pretty interesting because, whenever we see a chart like this, whenever we see a chart that runs up so quickly, tops on a TD sequential 9, but then continues to show strength, I think that's an encouraging sign. One thing that I noted a couple days ago was kind of the decline in volume we are seeing. And I think today is going to be critical for determining the direction of Ethereum in the interim. You know, if the volume can match the previous day's volume, I think we may be able to hang out in this range between 3,200 and 3,500. You can kind of see where the 9 candle body closed. I think that may be a good indication of where we can head down to. And, I think if we get sufficient volume and that range stays this tight, I think that bodes very well for Ethereum holders. If we can stay between, 3492 and 3200 in the interim, I think that's setting it up well to make a break to the upside when the time's right. But, unless we get that volume, I don't think it's likely that we break above that 3,500 level that you mentioned, CJ. And, if we don't get much volume at all, I think there actually is a likelihood that we go down a little bit even further and possibly retest the 3K level, because, just look at that 8 candle that we saw. That was such a fast run up. We didn't have all that much time to form support. So really, it's just going to come down to whether or not a lot of traders get tired of being range bound between 3,500 and 3,200 and decide to take some profits that they've made in the last week. I think that could be enough to drive price down back to the 3K level. But based on what I'm seeing today, I think we're more likely to kind of hang out between this 3,400 level and 3,200 level until we're ready for a breakout.
Yeah, interesting stuff. It's gonna be a good weekend, or at least a very interesting weekend in front of us. But with that being said, would you like to get to the doges of the day? Do you want to start us off, sir?
Sure. I would love to start us off. My doge of the day today is one I've talked about before. It's one that already has had a very strong week, and that is KNC, or Kyber Network. And I really like what I'm seeing in terms of the daily chart. I think this one is poised for a very strong break to the upside. What we tend to see, we saw it with EOS, we saw it with a few other assets this week. When an asset breaks above critical resistance of a previous all-time high, it enters what we call price discovery mode, and it can climb parabolically in just a few hours. And I think what we're seeing from KNC is encouraging, and it actually may be positioned to enter that mode of price discovery. So if you look here at the chart, one thing we love to see is that building volume. Each of the last 3 days, it's seen an increase in volume. That's allowed it to break above this level here of 33.57. And, the next big hurdle for this thing is the level of the previous all-time high at right around 4.3. So if we can continue to see this volume build, I think there's a good chance that KNC can break above this level of 4.3 and really climb all the way up into even the $5 levels. Now, full disclosure, I do hold KNC. I've been holding it for a while, and I haven't taken any profits today. Even after this run up, I still think there's room to run. So, if you're looking to enter this trade, perhaps wait until you get some confirmation on today's volume. Maybe wait to see a break above this $4 level. I think a break above $4 could lead to that breakout that I was mentioning. So just watch KNC, maybe set a price alert just below $4, because I do think that when it makes this move, it's going to happen pretty quick. But the fundamentals are solid. We talk all the time about how, Uni and Sushi have market caps in the billions, and KNC is still chilling down there in the hundreds of millions. So that's not in itself a reason to invest, but that in conjunction with the technicals and the fact that, we mentioned earlier, we may be approaching altcoin season, I think KNC is poised to perform well. So that is my doge of the day today, CJ.
Nice, good stuff. KNC.
What have you got for us?
I have TRON. TRX is going to be my doge of the day. If I share my screen here.
Sure thing.
So I want to start with the daily perspective and just highlight a couple things and break down this trade setup. Where we are right now is we've got a green 3 on the sequential indicator that is closing above the previous 2 and 1. We have a nice bullish engulfing candle. We have increasing volume throughout our past 3 trading days. Always a very bullish signal, or that's a very nice signal for continuation. The oscillators are not turning over yet. They're still trending relatively strong, but the critical level for me is 16.4. So if we break above that level and can close with conviction, I think the TRON is very likely going to be one of those altcoins that was, from 2017 and 2018 that will likely be swept up in the retail mania and the altcoin season that you speak of, Monty. So I'm looking at this as a breakout level. And why don't we just check out the 4-hour as well? So we had a TD sequential 9 on the 4-hour that was not really obeyed by the trend, and we're still facing critical resistance here at 16.4. So while I do believe that this trade is going to go past its previous all-time highs, I think the conservative move would be to wait till we get a firm close above 16. That is why I do not currently hold TRON. I likely will soon if we get that confirmation of the breakout. But that's what we're looking at on TRON. And as you can see, bullish daily sentiment from the dashboard. We have relative tweet volume up 80% and trading volume up as well. So TRON is going to be my pick of the day as well. And so I'll send it back to you, Monty.
Very nice, CJ. Yeah, I like that play. It looks actually kind of similar to KNC in the sense that it's running up to that critical resistance level. So it looks like we're set for a pretty exciting weekend just based on these two assets and, the altcoin season that we were talking about earlier. It looks like a few assets may be poised to break to the upside. So hold on to your handlebars, folks, as Alex would say, because this is going to be an exciting weekend, I think. Lots of great altcoin plays you can make. And as always, CJ and I will be chilling in the community. It's 24/7 chat. If you're not a member yet, you can try it at marketrebellion.com/try crypto. It's just $1 for the first month. And there's a pro charting service that CJ just displayed for you guys. That was our charting service that he was using there. We have a community of ever-growing traders that never cease to amaze me with their intellect. And, we publish trade insights. CJ published one this morning for you guys. So be on the lookout for those. And as always, thank you to Voyager for sponsoring this podcast. They have over 55 crypto assets, and you can earn up to 10% interest. Some of my friends were texting me the other day, like, is this right? 10% interest? So I had to explain to them how it works. And, once they realized that it was a legit 10% interest, they were all aboard. So check out Voyager. They're great. And have a great weekend, guys. Happy Friday. We will see you again on Monday.
Thank you.